Everyone. I'm going to give it like 30 more seconds. And then I'll jump in to like the introduction, some housekeeping items, and then we'll get right into it. But it's nice to see some new names. So hi everyone, I'm Justine. I'm super excited to be bringing back the Dig Deeper series. Um, we brought it back again, I think last month for the first time. We took a little bit of a hiatus in the beginning of the year, but we're super excited to bring this back every month. So with that, let me kind of jump into our topic today and also just some housekeeping items. So first things first is the session is recorded. It will be available on our website that you can always go back and watch. And we also will send out an email with the recording. Um, just a quick intro for those who I have not met before. My name is Justine. I work in product marketing here at UserGems. Before I was in product marketing, I worked on our customer success team. So I worked really closely with all of our customers, kind of getting to know the way that different companies really approach this like concept of outbound, and then now the shift to AI and outbound. And for the next few months, I think we're probably going to focus on these sessions to be around different parts of AI and user gems. So our AI agent's named Jemmy. And today specifically, we're going to be talking about the scoring agent. So what goes into account scoring, and then also the prospect scoring that Jemmy is going to use to then automate these cadences. So, um, the first half of this is going to be a deck of me walking through how it works. The second half of this is going to be me in the product kind of showing you in product how this works and how it's configured. And then throughout this, I will be looking at the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in. I am alone today on this webinar, so I'll do my best to monitor the chat and also continue with this presentation. Cool. So real goal of this, just like a quick outline, I'm going to start with the account scoring piece. So like the actual companies, and then the research that Jemmy, our AI agent, is doing for these accounts. Then I'm going to go a little bit deeper and like unveil what's actually happening within the accounts and going down to the contact level, because obviously we want to make sure that we're actioning these accounts. We're not just delivering scores and then making sales try to figure out what to do with them. And then the actioning part. So I'll show you how we recommend actioning them, either if you're an ABM and you're trying to like select accounts to pick for your ABM programs, or if you're trying to automate a sales motion and how you want to like pick those accounts and automate them into outreach. So I want to quickly take a step back and talk a little bit about how account scoring as a whole works today, industry wide. So if you're not familiar with it, there's many vendors that offer account scoring, and account scoring is just one feature of Jemmy. We are not an account scoring platform. It just helps our AI outbound programs run. Um, but account scoring, the way it is today, it's either really complex, and a lot of teams don't really know what goes into it and what makes an account have a high score or be surging or something like that, or they're too basic to the point where it's not necessarily like uh, signal data. It's just kind of like firmographic data of this company looks maybe like it would convert higher, so we're just going to give it a higher score. Um, and so what this is doing is it's creating this issue where teams are selecting accounts maybe for ABM or for target accounts or however your system's working. You're picking these accounts and then you're falling short on your pipeline number. And a lot of the times what's happening is this selection of accounts is maybe like arbitrary, or it's just going on this like basic firmographic data, and it's not necessarily being driven by any type of like signal or like reason to reach out to these accounts or any type of like intent. On the flip side of this, so taking like a step into the sales side, so sales then gets these accounts with the scores, and they say, okay, great, now what? Because for sales, they have these like high scored accounts, and now they have to go through like the motions of finding the contacts at the accounts, like building a list, adding them to a sequence, creating a sequence, following up with them. And oftentimes, what happens here is sales is a little bit confused about like why are these accounts high in scoring, and then they're also like now having the burden of doing all of this extra work, and it makes the accounts not actually get actioned. So we approach account scoring a bit differently. I'll talk a little bit about how we approach account scoring and what goes into our account scores, like what types of firmographic data is used, how reliable is the data, and things like that. But really, what we want to make sure is that we're not just delivering a score and like pushing that into a CRM field, which we absolutely can do, and I will show you how to do it. But we also want to make sure that it's going into some type of a campaign and it's getting actioned. So the individual contacts of these accounts are being, put into a cadence, having a LinkedIn message, being added to like a call sequence, something like that. So the way our account scores work in UserGems is built on four different attributes. So company similarity. So I'll go into each one of these individually in a second, but I just want to give you an overview of all of them first. The company signals, so what's actually happening at those accounts. And then we also take into account the actual people at that account too. So how similar are the prospects at these accounts to people in your current pipeline that are currently evaluating your solutions? And then what signals do the individual people have at these accounts? And does that make the company more likely to convert as well? So with that in mind, we'll start with the company similarity piece. So basically, what company similarity does is it measures how similar a company is to your existing customers, and this is kind of that too basic piece of company scoring. So this will do things like, what types of hiring patterns are happening, what is their tech stack, how big is the company, what industry are they in, what verticals do they operate in, what parts of the world do they operate in, and how similar is that to your current customers. And we take it a little bit further. So, for example, like for tech stack, and I threw that example on here, we can see like if 75% or more of your customers use Salesforce today, we're going to significantly higher the score of Salesforce. To Salesforce, we're going to give them a higher score. And that's kind of the way that this works in terms of like the company similarity. However, it also does go off of this firmographic data that you're used to today. And I do want to mention, and I'll show you how to do this as well. All of this is customizable. So our approach is to automatically be able to give you somewhere to work from, but you can always train your AI model to think a little bit differently about specifically maybe some types of tech stack. The second piece of this, which is also going to be on the company level, is going to be company signals. So you can think about this separately from the people at the account. And this is going to be things like whatever type of intent data. So there's things that we can surface like website visitors. But if you have your own type of intent data, you can also sync that with your scoring and user gems. So if you do use something like Six Sense or demand based, you can absolutely include that in part of this score. But we also do any types of other signals. So things like hiring, funding, any types of like product announcements, news, acquisitions, mergers, etc. Anything that might be interesting that's happening in the account, we can also then factor that into the score of the company. One small tidbit of person level relevance on company signals is going to be if there is the presence of a champion at that account. We do count that as part of the company signal, and make the company score a little bit higher if you do have a past champion there. And then the more past champions that you have at that account, they'll accrue more points based on how many people are moving to that account that know you already. Moving on to the people. So not only do we capture the amount of company level signals and similarity, but we're also going to do the exact same for the people at the accounts because these are the actual people that are going to be likely to convert more so than the account overall. So the prospect similarity is a little bit differently than the company. So basically, what this does is it evaluates how similar a person is at that company to contacts that are currently evaluating your product. So these aren't your current customers. These are the people that are in your current pipeline. And the reason for this is there's obviously a lot of different trends. Maybe your company's kind of like pivoted in different ways in the past few years. A customer of yours that's been a customer for 5 years is not going to be the same as a customer of yours that's evaluating you currently. So that's why this is like measured a little bit differently. And then on the other side of this is going to be any type of person level signal. So these are not company signals. These are individual signals, like if they were newly hired to a role, if they worked at one of your customer accounts and had like some type of overlap with your product, any type of like promotion, past champions. And then also on top of that, you can manually or automatically upload any other types of signals that you have. So, for example, if you wanted to monitor event attendees and you wanted to add that into the score, you can add that in as a person level signal. If they downloaded a piece of content, you can add that also as part of the person level signal. So you're able to kind of separate this out into individuals and then also the company overall scores. And the way that we then use these is we're going to prioritize the actual contacts within the accounts as well. So, first, we're going to take all of those scores and we're going to tell you which accounts are most likely to convert. And then using your persona that you've uploaded into UserGems, Jemmy is then going to go out and try to find all of the prospects at that account that you either don't know about yet, you haven't contacted yet, or you haven't contacted in a while, depending on how you want to set it up. So we're going to start obviously by whoever is ranked highest based on signal. So this is probably going to be past champions because they know you already. However, this is totally customizable. And as you kind of play around with it, it might mean that like a new hire might be a little bit more likely to convert. That also will kind of learn from that as the AI continues to surface new contacts. But first, we're going to try to find any type of relevant persona matching contact at that account and then rank those by most likely to convert. And those are the people that are going to be then added to some type of an outreach cadence or some type of sales loft cadence or whatever type of SEP tool that you're using. And then also can be queued up for your sales reps, like in whatever CRM that they're using already, just to make sure that they also have the contacts to go with these high scored accounts. Because that's a lot of the drop off that we see is the sales reps will get the high scored accounts and then they won't actually get the people within them. Uh, the last piece that I'll say before I transition into our app. So the biggest piece of this and is not to deliver an account score or a company score into your CRM. The real purpose of this feature is to make sure they're able to use it for any type of like always on outbound campaign that you're running and you're always able to find new accounts for those campaigns. And another reason to use this could be to select accounts for some type of an ABM program that you're using, or to select target accounts on a monthly or quarterly basis. You can absolutely use the scoring for that. So, for example, something that we've done this quarter with our own ABM team is use any accounts that's scored over 55. And then you would select the top 600 of those, and then you can use those for your ABM monthly, quarterly, however you run that. And then the other piece of this that you're able to do is you are automatically able to surface new accounts based on scores. So let's say you have a few accounts that are scoring super high and they're not in your CRM yet. Jemmy can also create new accounts in your CRM and also create and find new prospects for those accounts. So you're also able to acquire new accounts to kind of widen your TAM just a little bit using the scoring. Um, so that's a little bit of the overview. I'm going to now show you what this actually looks like in the app, just so you can see how it works. So I'm going to zoom in just a bit and see maybe if I can kick myself off here. And I realize I also ended up being muted. So we're going to focus on two tabs here. The first one's going to be company scoring. The second one's going to be AI company review. So in company scoring, you can see here, if I minimize all of these, those four different attributes that we kind of just went through on that presentation. So the company similarity, company signals, prospect similarities, prospect signals. Something we didn't talk about is this adjust company size. What we're going to make sure is that we're going to not score a company that has, like tens of thousands of people and a bunch of different signals in the same plane as a company that maybe has 500 employees or something like that. We want to make sure that we normalize based on the company size, obviously, because larger companies are going to have many more signals. So if we open one of these up really quickly, you can see that these are all pre-filled right when you sign up with UserGems. And this is going to be connected to your CRM, and it's going to be based on what signals that you already care about. So there's a few different things. You can see here on the right that there's going to be a preview of what companies are going to be rated high. So here on the right-hand side, you can see a short list of 20 companies. And then if you click into any of these, you can always edit the points. And the the thing that's really cool here is we're not expecting you to kind of go in here and edit the points here. I'll show you how you can do that if you wanted to, but I do think that that's a little bit abstract. And like, who's to say how many points are you supposed to add to a specific signal or a specific attribute? Um, so what I'd really recommend doing here instead is looking through and understanding, like, for example, if I open something in tech stack, let's open sales loft here, I can see that the points that Jemmy has decided to give it is 216. What does that mean? I don't know. But what I do know is that the customers that have sales loft, there's 17% of them in my CRM, meaning that anyone with sales loft is 30 times more likely to convert. And that is why it has the score that it has. So if for some reason, like you think something shouldn't be here, you can always exit out. Or if you wanted to play around with the scores, you absolutely can, but you shouldn't feel like you need to. What you should do instead, if we go back into settings and go back into this tab that I mentioned earlier called AI Company Review, if you click on this, this will automatically adjust those scores on that scoring page. So these are all randomly selected accounts. These are not your target accounts. These are not, exclusive of your customers. You might see customers in here, and you also might see companies in here that are so far beyond your ICP that you're like, why are those in here? And that's the point. So you're going to want to come in here and you can rate and flip through different companies. And let's say, for example, you wanted to like exclude some based on different attributes, which you can always like dig in more if you need to, but you can see just like the general overview here. And you can say something like not enough employees. And this will then train Jemmy to stop surfacing companies with this type of attributes or surface less of them. And automatically, anything that you do here will translate into those scores of the signals and the attributes in the company scoring page so that you don't have to go in and try to figure out what is the score that I'm supposed to assign to this random thing. So this is really how you're supposed to edit those scores. But again, scores are out of the box and it is specifically related to your own data and your own signal. So you should not have to feel like you need to change any of the scoring. This is only if you want to. So some of the ways that you can use this is by building a workflow. So if we go into campaigns, I'm going to just kind of show you how we would use it based on those three different types of scenarios. So if you create a new campaign, we're actually going to create a custom campaign for this because all we're going to do is we're going to want to push the company score into our CRM. I've already built an audience for this, but you can, of course, build any type of audience you want for this. You can say like account scores over 55, and then you can just build an audience off of that, and you can push all of those through into your CRM. So you can have this run on a schedule. We're going to add an action to create or update the prospect in the CRM. The prospect is going to come along with the accounts. So we're going to want to add this in because if we're wanting to create new accounts from this account scoring, we would want to add this in. If you don't want to create new accounts, you can skip this step. But then what you want to do is you're going to update a CRM field, and I'm going to do this as a separate step just so you can see it better. On the account, you're going to have a field that you can either build before you set this up. It could be separate from your existing company or account scoring. It could be in addition to any field that you have currently. So for example, we have like you might have a 6 cents and 10 score, you might have like a demand based score, and you might have a user gem score. Or you might just want to have one and have whatever the last score is be updated. Whatever CRM field you want us to update, you would just select that here. It would be dynamic because we're always going to be looking for new signals at these accounts and with these prospects at these accounts that the score is going to change. And it's always going to be refreshed based on all of those attributes in the signals. And then for that, you would just put score. And you can see here, anytime we detect a score, we will dynamically update whatever field that you decide to update. So that's how you would add it to the CRM, and then you can pick your ABM accounts based on there, or you can upload or download a CSV directly from the UserGems app. But the most important part here is to make sure that the accounts and the prospects are being actioned. So we're going to want to add another action, which I would recommend being to add to a sequence. And the sequence setup could be like any other type of, if you have any Gemi sequences already, or if you have any other types of ABM sequences that you wanted to add these prospects to, you can absolutely do that as well. You would just select whatever sequence you wanted them to be added to, select who they want it to be sequenced by, and then you can save this entire workflow. And basically, what this says is every time that I have a warm account, which could be, an account over 55 or something like that, every day, I want you to update that score in my CRM. Every month, I want you to update that score in my CRM. Every quarter, I want you to update that score in my CRM, however frequently you want to do that. And then I want you to go action all of the prospects that you found as well. So those are all of the ways that you can then use the score. Um, but you can always just push the score for now into your CRM, and you can kind of build lists, or help your team action it directly from wherever they're already working. So they shouldn't have to feel the need to come in here and try to search for prospects within UserGems. All right, everyone. Um, I think we covered a lot today. I am checking the Q&A to see if there's anything in here. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them here. Or you can always email me at justine@usergems.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn and message me anything there. I'm always happy to kind of dig a little bit deeper into your specific account scoring and see what's pre-generated for you by Jemmy. And then we can kind of talk through if maybe you think that it needs a little bit of editing, or if you wanted to run any type of plays with it. I will leave you with one anecdote. So last quarter, so Q1 of 2025, our ABM team selected their accounts for their ABM. We used kind of like the traditional route, I think I would say, in terms of what companies match our ICP and our CRM. Uh, is there any past champions at them? And then any types of like other signal attributes. We do have a vendor that also provides some type of a signal or some type of a score, sorry. And what we found was the performance this quarter, so Q2 2025, so far is resulting in a lot better results than trying to do it without our own scoring. So this was our first quarter that we've rolled this out internally as well as given it to our customers. So I'd recommend trying it out. I know Q3 is next week, so maybe a little bit cutting it close. But take a look in your accounts, see what it looks like, see if it's similar to the accounts that you've already selected for any type of an ABM program. And then I challenge you to maybe find a couple more using the scoring and see how those convert in Q3. So that's it for me. That's all for scoring. Let me know if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, we will see you next month. We do these every month on the third Thursday, besides this month, because last Thursday was a holiday. So I will see everyone on the third Thursday of July. Bye, everyone.